Okay, well, I'm Catherine with Aspire Tours, as you know. Thank you so much for having me on your tour. I just thought briefly, I just want to talk to you about what we're looking for in tours overall. So obviously with my guides, all I in the end care about is reviews, because who wants to have a bad review? If you have a bad review, then people don't come on your tours. So usually the main reason, and we have many reviews on TripAdvisor, as you might know, the main reason for bad reviews is usually that the expectations are not met, that there is uncertainty throughout the tour, that people don't know what's going on, and a bad customer service. So it's not so much knowledge, but really overall how you engage and how you treat people and how attentive you are to people as well. So that being said, I am just going through, for the Ghostbusters tour here that I've shadowed, I'm just going to go through a few pointers here. So the uniqueness, I really actually liked the title. I thought it was a good title, but the relevance to the title was never really explained to me, because when I go look up the definition of a Ghostbuster, it really means someone that makes ghosts vanish, and I didn't really see that relation between the title and how you guys fit into that. But the content overall was good. You did your research, but there was not very much intro. So I would have liked to hear, why is it that you're intrigued by the ghosts in Denver? Why does Denver have so many ghosts? What is it that excites you about that? So really, passion is actually another thing, that I think a guide can't fake. And if you have passion, people are really gonna love you. So in some ways, that passion could have come over a little more. Time management was good, and also in the beginning, the person did go step by step over what to expect on the tour, so that was very good. The organization and flow was good as well. The outfits were good, they were funny. The appearance was same thing, appearance and outfits I thought were good. The presentation skills were overall good, except exactly kind of the story build up. And because, for example, at the Brown Palace as well, we didn't really know why the ghost was at Brown Palace. All I knew that there was a ghost, but kind of the story behind it was missing. Problem-solving skills. So the good thing was that while we were waiting for the bus, you were trying to engage, even though not the whole time, but at least you tried. So that's good, because you should be engaging with the crowd. When it's quiet, you are the entertainer. You have to stand there, you have to talk about things, even if it's not necessarily ghosts. You keep the conversation going. You can talk to the people, you can ask where they're from, but you got to keep that flow going. And the other thing that was good, when we were on the sidewalk, and it seemed a little dangerous there, that you were telling us to watch the steps. So these are all customer related things that I thought were good. The one thing, again, problem solving that was missing at the end at the Patterson Inn, it was freezing cold, and you talked in front of the Patterson Inn. You could have just gone inside. I mean, that's a huge cost, because in the end you always think about, how do I make the customer happy? And seeing everyone with freezing cold and blue lips, you should have been like, hey, listen, it's probably better we go inside and we talk inside. It really wouldn't have made a difference anyway. So those are things that are really important as a when you do a tour. Let me see what else I have. I think that I think that's kind of is everything. Like I said, as a guide, you are an entertainer, you are a storyteller, and all the way from beginning to the end, it needs to be smooth. So I honestly think in this particular tour, if you did that tour, I don't think you would have gotten a bad review, actually, and so that's a good thing. But I just also definitely listed the things that could have made it like an excellent tour. And that's it from my end. Thank you very much, and I wish you a lot of success in the future.
Hey everybody, this is Austin. Thank you so much for letting us come along. Had some fun with you on those tours. And so just to jump right into it, the antique tour that we did, uniqueness of the tour title, I thought it was pretty good. You know, I like plays on words. And so the whole antique spin I thought was pretty good. And obviously it was relevant to what we did with the antiques and the tea time. The story creation, you know, maybe a little bit more build up. You know, what is this Antique Row? I know you kind of talked about it a little bit, but you know, maybe a little bit more story behind it, or even maybe just to build up the tension and the conflict between Antique Row and the Green Mile potentially. I thought that could be something good. Time management I thought was okay. I'm coming to you as a customer, and a really picky customer, and so I didn't necessarily like the walk, but I'm just saying that from a customer standpoint. And then once we, you know, got to the construction site, and then we had to, like, you know, switch sides of the street and everything, that's just something that you want to just work out and be prepared for ahead of time, instead of coming to that construction site and then having to figure it out. The organization and the flow, you know, I thought the organization was pretty good. You know, we had our stops and they were fairly concentrated. And so the flow was pretty good, except for our little, you know, construction walk. But again, not that big of a deal, just something to know about before we get there. I thought the outfits, I thought you did a good job, kind of dressed up, kind of old-timey. And so I thought it went right along with the tour. The presentation I thought was good. One thing I want to say is just own the information, be an expert. I know that this, you know, it was an assignment, and so people were nervous, and, you know, cue cards and, you know, all this kind of stuff, but, you know, you want to come across as an expert to these people that have paid you to take them on a tour. That's all I want to say, I guess, when it comes to the presentation. Just own it, be confident. The logistics, I thought the logistics were pretty good. Like I said, you guys were concentrated after our initial walk. And then, you know, the fact that we saw a couple different things. The antique barn, that was neat. It had its history. The tea, that was a nice stop. And then the dolls. It would have been fun to maybe see a little bit more with the dolls, or maybe see them cleaning the dolls, or have the lady talk to us about the dolls or something, but that's for another tour. And then problem solving, I mean, you solve the problem, the big one of, you know, the construction and getting around it. Let's see, any more notes? Oh yeah, I just want to say, you know, it's the simple stuff. You know, if we're sitting there and you're competing with the traffic noise, then that's always tough, you know? So you want to get us inside, get us away from the traffic so that you can tell your stories that everybody can hear, because I felt myself like, well, what did she say? You know, I didn't understand what was being said simply because of the traffic behind us. But overall, I thought the antique tour was a good tour. You know, I saw 3 places that I'd never seen before. I learned a little bit more about, you know, Antique Row and South Broadway, and so I did really enjoy the antique tour. The 17th Street Hauntings tour. Uniqueness of the tour title. You know, it's unique, I guess. I mean, to me, I guess I'm a little partial when it comes to 17th Street, because there is so much history on 17th Street, and there's so many things that could have been talked about. And so what I feel like happened with the 17th Street Hauntings is that there was so much focus on the ghosts and the ghost stories that there was a lot of opportunities missed, you know, to talk about some of the, you know, bigger history of the street, and some of the things that have happened on that street. And so the other thing that I thought happened with the 17th Street tour was it was concentrated at Union Station and then the Oxford. And then we had this big gap between the Oxford and the Brown Palace. And so in that big gap, there wasn't a lot of information being given to us. And again, there's so much history that can be talked about when it comes to 17th Street. And so we had this big long gap, And then we ended up getting on 16th Street and riding the 16th Street Mall ride. And so then I think that actually goes against the tour 17th Street Hauntings, because we found ourselves on 16th Street, also another big historic district, and there's a lot to talk about. But yet there wasn't a lot of talking until we got back to the Brown Palace and the tour resumed. The other thing that I thought was interesting was talking about the cruise room at the Brown Palace, and I just thought, well, maybe we should be talking about it at the Oxford, when we were at the Oxford, because we would have had the opportunity to look in the window and kind of check it out, because it is a beautiful bar, a lot of history there, the Prohibition and everything. And so I was kind of confused as to why we were talking about the cruise room at the Brown Palace. And then another one of those customer service things, we were kind of talking about it as, again, the traffic was going by and it was hard to hear. And so that's where I think the organization and the flow could have been a little bit tighter, because there was that big gap, which kind of broke things up. And but everybody, you had your stories and it was kind of fun. I do think that when it comes to a 17th Street Hauntings, that it might just be a seasonal tour. It might be more relevant around Halloween and things like that, because there's just so much to be talked about with 17th Street. And so the logistics, again, I just think it could have been tightened up a little bit, especially the big gap from the Oxford to the Brown Palace. But other than that, I really enjoyed the day. It was fun, hanging out with you and seeing the tours. And I hope everybody, I wish everybody good luck, and especially everybody that's graduating. And just remember, if this is the business that you want to be in, it's really, you got to focus on the customer and got to, make sure that you've taken care of the customer's needs every which way that you can, whether it's, the weather, it's the food, it's the noise. You just want to make sure that the customer is the most comfortable, and also that they're getting the information from you. And so, like when we were at the Brown Palace and there was all the people around us talking, it was a little hard to hear. And so I feel like, other than that, I had a great day and just want to say thanks a lot. I don't know, I might have kind of rambled there.
Yeah, but